Desk. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Kansas City Chiefs are Super Bowl 57 champions. 38-35. The final. Chiefs trailed by 10 at the half, but outscored the Eagles 24-11 in the third and fourth quarters. A critical holding call on Eagles corner James Bradbury late in the game allowed Kansas City to set up a game-winning 27-yard field goal by Harrison Butker.
Townsend will hold it. 11 seconds left in Super Bowl 57, 35-35 tie. The kick is good, and Kansas City leads 38-35 with 8 seconds to go in regulation in Super Bowl 57.
That is Mitch Holthus, the Chiefs radio network. Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes won his second Super Bowl MVP, going 21 of 27, 182 yards and 3 touchdown passes. Mahomes had 6 carries for 44 yards, including a 26-yard scramble during the game-winning drive. Pat Mahomes, the first quarterback since 1999 to win league MVP and Super Bowl MVP in the same season. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Welcome in on this Monday morning. Happy to have you guys here for the next 3 hours. What a game. 615-737-1045. Jump in at any point if you would like to react to the Chiefs' comeback victory, 38-35 over Jalen Hurts, the Philadelphia Eagles. No rings for AJ Brown or for Brett Kern. And a just spectacular start to finish run for a team that feels disrespected to hear their tight end talent. I don't know who started this trend this season of teams who are incredibly respected acting like they've been disrespected publicly. But I love Travis Kelce. I think he's one of the most spectacular players in the game. But also shut up with the nobody believed in his Chiefs thing.
Sports News on 104.5 The Zone.
Yes.
Not to railroad the show literally 2 minutes in, but according to Ian Rappaport, the New York Jets are hiring former Titans offensive coordinator Todd Downing as their new passing game coordinator. I felt I had to interject.
Wait, what? Okay.
That literally...
Bring it to a screeching halt.
10 a.m. sharp. That's tweeted out by Ian Rappaport.
You got to be kidding me. I have this whole monologue about the best 58 minutes of football that I've seen, I think, in my lifetime. And the Jets have to just drop that stink bomb in the middle of our laps to start the show.
Rappaport goes on to say it adds a veteran assistant with extensive experience to join new offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett. Robert Saleh continues to beef up his offensive staff. So now that's two former Titans assistants on the Jet staff joining Keith Carter, the O-line coach.
God almighty. What am I supposed to do with that?
Just imagine, week 9 of the 2022 NFL season, telling Jets fans, hey, you know who's going to be? Like, I know it sucks right now with Zach Wilson in this whole situation, but I got a fix for you. How about that guy in Denver and that guy in Tennessee teaming up? What do you think about that?
You know what? 2 heads are better than 1, baby. Bring it together. Mega Mind stuff with Todd Downing and Nathaniel Hackett. New York, he's not going to be made available to the media as a passing game coordinator, but they are going to eat that Jets coaching staff alive in New York if they do not figure out ways to rectify that situation. You want to talk about a dead fish to drop in my lap to start the show. It's Super Bowl Monday, for God's sakes. That's what you felt the need to bring the show to a screeching halt with?
Oh, you don't think that was worth interjecting with?
I hate it. I hate it so much. What could that possibly, I'm just fascinated. I don't have the answers to any of these questions, but what do you imagine the conversation between Todd Downing and Robert Saleh is like? Like, who was watching the Titans offense last year? And also, having seen not one, but respectfully 2 mugshots of Todd Downing in the last 6 months and saying, you know what's going to help fix my football team? That situation. What kind of glutton for punishment is Robert Saleh? This is the same man on New York Sports Talk Radio talking about he's keeping receipts to miss the playoffs.
If they don't bring Aaron Rodgers to New York, Jets fans are going to have a meltdown. I mean, that would be the saving grace for Jets fans if Aaron Rodgers gets up there. But if not, this is going to be tough to sell.
But, is that the saving grace? Think about this, okay? And let me bring it back to a Super Bowl conversation. I'd rather have this one early, or I'd rather have this one later in the show because I think it's a fascinating one. And honestly, I was thinking about saving it for the end of the week. But is Jalen Hurts the best quarterback in the NFC? Aaron Rodgers is not.
Well, Aaron Rodgers is not likely to be in the NFC anymore anyway.
And, buddy, I just saw Jalen Hurts put up 300-plus yards of offense without much struggle. And Aaron Rodgers has been terrible in playoff games, even at the peak of his powers. I don't know that you can definitively come out here and say, if Aaron Rodgers stays in the NFC, that's the best quarterback in the conference. I think it's very much an open discussion. So don't tell me that that's a clear and obvious fix for the Jets. I mean, it's better than what they've got.
I'm not saying it's a clear and obvious fix. I'm saying Aaron Rodgers is a lot easier to sell than Nathaniel Hackett and Todd Downing and whoever they can get to come play quarterback in New York. Because it's not going to be Zach Wilson.
I just can't bleeping believe that this is how I have to start my Monday. Todd Downing news. I thought I was done.
Very happy about this. But yeah, so greatest 58 minutes in Super Bowl history.
Oh, shut the hell up. You know what you did. But yeah, it was. I mean, what a spectacular start to finish Super Bowl, other than the penalty, the holding call on Bradbury that brought the thing to a screeching halt. Did you not feel, I haven't enjoyed a Super Bowl football-wise that way since the Patriots and the Seahawks and the Malcolm Butler 1 yard or goal line interception.
Oh, come on. You didn't like Falcons Patriots over that one? I mean, as far as pure entertainment goes.
As far as long-lasting shame and hilariousness on the internet, yes, the 28-3 mockery that the Atlanta Falcons has become. By the way, have you ever listened to Raw Room, Darren Bates' podcast with Jalen Collins? He was on the Super Bowl. Jalen Collins was at the time when they went to the Super Bowl, and I was listening to a clip of their podcast the other day about him talking about the party that they still had after losing the 28-3 Super Bowl with Ludacris and 2 Chainz in attendance because people from Atlanta were there just in case they won the Super Bowl. They had the party anyway. But no, that's not the best start to finish football game that I've seen. Patriots, at least in a Super Bowl, Patriots and Seahawks a couple of years ago, I think was my favorite Super Bowl that I've watched. Some of you who go back further with many, many NFL seasons before, Lucas and I existed, you probably have a different opinion, or, maybe you've seen a couple of these games here recently, like Nick Foles against Tom Brady, that have really, really captured your attention and sucked you in for the full 60. But honestly, I felt that game had my attention the entire time. There was enough scoring, enough offense, a lot of good defense to continue to keep this thing moving. It took a little. Super Bowls always take longer just because everything is so drawn out. But other than it being brought to a screeching halt, which we'll talk about the penalty, I'm sure. But the penalty is it's not like anybody would accuse the NFL of being rigged again the way that the Bengals fans did in the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs. Because I saw a lot of people have a knee-jerk reaction in real time to, the Chiefs are just going to get this call, this defensive holding at the end of the game. It's going to put them in a position to kneel the clock out. It's going to be an incredibly anticlimactic ending. They'll kick the field goal. They'll, 8 seconds left by the time the Eagles officially got the ball back after the kickoff when the Chiefs kicked the game winner. It brought everything to kind of just like this thud, right? But the first 58 minutes, incredible. And the thing about it is, it's the 2 best teams at the end. It's the 2 teams. Jalen Hurts was 16-2, counting last night's loss. 16-2 as a starting quarterback this season.
But the graphic that they put up, and it was 1, right? Didn't he have just 1 loss? as a starter this year? Because they
Right, but I'm talking about he lost the Super
including
Bowl.
last night. I'm sorry, but when they put up the graphic of their resumes for this season, just so stunningly exact and parallel.
Mirror images. We're talking about
truly amazing
yardages, like where the quarterbacks ranked in QBR this season.
The same number of points scored.
Yeah,
how is that possible? The same number of all pros, the same number of Kelce brothers. It's crazy how similar their seasons went.
People are asking me where my face paint is.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I did not. It turns out it's hard to find a professional face painter. I just can't call up a carny and say, hey, I need somebody to paint my face at 9 a.m. before a 10 a.m. show.
Just get a red Sharpie.
A red Sharpie? No, I have to paint it has to be Eagles.
Yeah, but
because I picked the Eagles.
Green Sharpie or whatever. Just get a green marker. It's way funnier if you do it yourself. I don't want it to be done professionally.
You don't think it'd be funny if I came in here with a whole Eagles thing on my face?
Yeah, but really poorly done with you having to do it in the mirror. That's what I want.
Well, no, I don't want to do that.
But shout out to Michelle for keeping us accountable. I had completely forgotten about the face paint.
No, I was thinking about this. I asked a couple of people, do you know anybody who paints faces? That was a conversation being had in my home in the third quarter last night as Patrick Mahomes was rallying back. And I'm so glad that God knows what they shot his ankle full of to get him back out there in the game. But that scramble, that superstar mode that he just goes into that sets him apart from any other player at the position, it I think creates such unrealistic expectations for every other fan base across the league saying, give me a quarterback who can do that. Hey, guys.
His longest run of the season.
On one leg. On one leg. It's insane. So when we talk about the idea, because obviously we're going to go beyond today, we're going to go full offseason mode. There's a fascinating discussion to be had locally about the Tennessee Titans, their offseason, how the hell it is that you try and compete with that thing sitting at the top of your conference, because now it's not just about building yourself to beat Cincinnati or Baltimore or Buffalo. How the hell do you stop the Kansas City Chiefs? Because, that went wire to wire this year. And really had a couple of sputtering moments, but simply because Patrick Mahomes on a high ankle sprain is just not the fullest version of himself. And I think we talk about Jalen Hurts, or I brought up the idea of maybe Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback in the NFC right now. Is Patrick Mahomes even the best version of himself yet? He's 27 years old. It's going to be a fascinating discussion. And really, these teams are not going anywhere. So we're going to be able to talk about these two teams. I think they're both really, really cool case studies in how teams build championship contending rosters. And there's enough luck that comes into play. But there's a formula there for both of them that we're going to talk about throughout the course of the day. 615-737-1045. You're going to hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. I'm Buck Rising. It's 1045 The Zone. Take a breath, Mitch. That's Mitch Holthus, voice of the Chiefs. Chiefs 38-35 over the Philadelphia Eagles last night, Super Bowl 57. Spectacular game. Kind of crappy finish. Chiefs kneel it out to end the game, kick a game-winning field goal, and run out the clock. They only give the Eagles 8 seconds at the end to spare, given that the Eagles at the time had no timeouts to be able to stop the Chiefs from doing so. Because they got a first down, a penalty, and you can call it a game-altering penalty if you want. But what was called on James Bradbury, the Eagles cornerback, the defensive holding penalty on third down, under 2 minutes to play. It was, a conversation could be had, and we have talked a lot about the officials. Hell, we talked about it on Friday with Mike Vrabel, who's a member of the competition committee, and the consistency that they're looking from officials in big spots. Lucas, how many calls did we get on, it was either Thursday or Friday when we were playing Roger Goodell's comments? That
the officiating is as good as it's ever been.
You know what? I'm waiting for the Roger Goodell press conference after the playing surface last night to be like, this is as good a playing surface as we've ever had, as I see people slipping and sliding all over the field.
Oh, my goodness.
So bad. So bad.
How?
We'll get to it. Wait, just take a beat.
That angered me more than the officiating.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you exactly where it impacted the game the most in a little bit, because that has to be a discussion as we talk about the Titans getting ready to put turf in at Nissan Stadium for the remainder of their lease there. This defensive holding penalty on James Bradbury gives the Chiefs fresh set of downs. You got Jerick McKinnon, who's got the ball at the 2-yard line on the next play. He slides down intentionally short of the end zone after he breaks a decent gain. He doesn't want to score because they want to run out the clock. It's an incredibly heady play. We've seen people screw that up. And he was, he had the presence of mind and understood the situation. And I'm sure that was very much a discussion in the huddle. Hey, if you get close, go down. Do not try to have your Super Bowl hero moment. This is more important than your touchdown. So he does so. Chiefs run the clock down to the 11-second mark. They kick the game-winning field goal with 8 seconds to spare. And then the Eagles go incomplete on their final play of the game. So the idea that it was a game-altering penalty, let's start there. I think that after you saw the penalty, I think everybody understood, okay, that's basically a toss-up. You would understand it if the officials did not call it. In fact, I think the preference of many would be to swallow the whistle in that spot.
Well, I think people were upset because that was the first holding call, offense or defense, of the game.
Yeah.
That's where I think people drew some ire.
So it comes back to consistency, right? Consistency throughout the course of a 60-minute football game. For that to be in the waning minutes of the Super Bowl in a game tied that way, for that to be the first holding call, offensive or defensive, as Lucas mentioned, people are not going to be thrilled with the idea of that. But you saw the replay. If you wanted to go letter of the law, you get why the flag was thrown. I've seen worse holding penalties called, if not in that big of a spot. And then you're getting ready. That conversation immediately breaks out on the internet beyond like catch or no catch in the first half with Devontae Smith, who I felt was robbed. I still feel he was robbed.
That might have been justice, though, for that 49ers catch.
Ugh.
Remember that big play in San Francisco that should not have been a catch?
I know, I understand. But if that's not a catch, change the rules. Like, I hate that. I hate it so much. Anyway, we'll have time for that. What I saw in those moments was a letter of the law call that did have a tremendous amount of impact on the result. But then James Bradbury's asked about it in the locker room. Here is James Bradbury, the Eagles corner, who got called for defensive holding that set up the game-winning kick. Here is what he had to say in the post-game locker room of Philadelphia last night.
That's not up for my judgment. I was hoping he would let it go, but of course, he's a ref. It's a big game, and it was a hold, so they called it.
He says it. He says it was a hold. So, like, any argument that you're having is negated by the guy, and I get it. He's being accountable. His team just lost the Super Bowl. You know, it's not like the Bengals defensive tackle that hit Mahomes going out of bounds and just made a boneheaded play. Like, this is
Osai. Yeah.
Joseph Osai. This is not the same situation where the guy just completely, like, I don't know if he couldn't physically control himself or brain farted, whatever. It's not the same situation. The guy is trying to be accountable at his locker room, but as soon as he says it was a hold, then the conversation's done.
That should end the debate in my mind.
It's done. So I understood why there was why that was one of the biggest talking points to come out of yesterday, but you have to be realistic about what it was that happened there, especially when you have the player on the record copping to it afterwards.
The most interesting take on this that I've heard was from Rob Ninkovich this morning on ESPN. He was fired up that James Bradbury was wearing black gloves. Said if you are a defensive back or a linebacker or any defensive player that's going to be covering someone on the other team at any point, your gloves should match the jersey of the team that you're playing. So Kansas City wearing white jerseys, wear white gloves. Because how much harder is it to spot that hold, that little tug, if his glove is blending in with the jersey of Juju? Yeah. Was it Juju Smith-Schuster?
Yeah, I think so.
I thought that was very interesting. And Ryan Clark was on there nodding his head in complete agreement with Rob Ninkovich. So as two former, defensive players in the NFL, they were so fired up about that it's not even something any of us give any thought to. But don't wear a glove that is in complete contrast with the opponent's jersey. You'll get away with way more. Thought that was interesting.
No, it makes a lot of sense because even like there was a Chiefs mouthpiece that went flying through the air in like the first or second quarter that I thought was a flag. Like, I don't know why the mouthpiece looked that big on my television screen, but I legitimately got confused. I think it was a third down play. All of a sudden, I just see this yellow thing flying through the air. Apparently, it's a Chiefs. I think Greg Olsen got confused by it, too, on the broadcast last night for Fox. It's just little things like that don't even occur to you that can legitimately impact how it is that these guys call the game. It's such a delicate balance. But for people who are bringing up the refs today, I think that's such a smaller part of the conversation to what ultimately was a spectacular game. Swab Zombie, 615-737-1045 to the phones. He's up first. What's happening?
Hey, guys. What's going on? I rarely agree with you, Buck, but, yeah, that was probably some of the best football for 58 minutes. And I'm not a big conspiracy guy, but a couple of things. The first drive the Eagles made, there was helmet-to-helmet contact on Devontae Smith.
There was.
That no call, no flag. I mean, how many times, from then on you knew, like, hey, they're going to let these guys play. But then you have one of the first big runs, Kansas City, like a sweep out to the left. You see like a crackback/hold take place on Philly. No call. Okay, whatever. But the problem with the big call is this, guys, and I haven't heard anybody talk about it, okay? He's going in for a slant. It's stuck, and it looks like he hooks him, okay, where that would be the hold. The flag is not thrown until, like, seconds later when, like, the ball is already, like, in the end zone. That's my issue is the delay. Was there another flag? Because it looks like the official on the goal line is the one that throws the flag. And, again, it's so delayed where it's like, did he get ring? Hey, we got to throw the flag. I'm watching the football, go into the end zone. It's no way it's going to be caught. Am I supposed to throw a flag? So that's my issue, guys. What do you think about that?
Thanks for the call, buddy. You letting him have some run. The music was under him for a while.
Let him finish the thought.
What, do you feel generous this morning?
I do. I love I'm not big into conspiracy theories, but it was a late flag. But it doesn't matter if the ball was uncatchable or not.
Late flags are the worst. I just think generally, especially because the players, like they think that they're on to the next play and it's moving that quickly, and then all of a sudden the flag comes in from the head referee in that spot. It comes back to the same kind of conversation. Like, how do you better improve the reaction time there? Are they having a discussion about that amongst themselves before that flag is thrown? Like, that's the thing that you can't see on camera, but it just comes out so late that you're looking around. I think it catches everybody by surprise, and it legitimately affects the flow of the game.
Well, I think based on the assignments of every official on the field, the guy throwing the flag, the guy making that call is the only one that has a clear view of what happened there. So there's not enough to counterbalance that in their conference afterward to say, no, that's not a penalty.
Right.
It's just the one guy that had eyes on it. Everybody else is assigned to different things.
And even he is sitting there thinking about, was that a penalty? And then ultimately throws the flag. Like, that's the thing about human error that you simply can't account for, and it's why this thing, especially officiating, drives us insane, because when there is so much, not just interest in a game like that, of that kind of scale, a championship game, but now that gambling money is so heavy, gambling money's always been a part of it, I guess, to a degree, but now legal gambling money, because the NFL is taking all these gambling company dollars, as, everybody in sports is right now, you are so much more accountable for anything that impacts the competitiveness of these contests by any fraction of a degree. And when especially delayed flags, I feel like those are the more egregious looking ones.
They're the most frustrating.
Because it's just like, okay, what took you so long? What are you doing back there? Figure it out.
Yeah.
Is what we're all screaming at our televisions when you see that. Phil in Gallatin is next. Hey, Phil.
Thanks for taking my call, Buck. Happy Miller Lite to you. Listen, I don't understand what's going on with these officiating stuff, but help me understand, Buck. When they said they're going to do some cleanup on this, what are they planning on doing? Sending these guys back through school, make sure their eyes are working properly, going back over the rule books? What exactly, as a fan, should I think that they're doing to get this right for the next season? I just want to see what you have to say about that. You have a blessed day. Thank you.
Happy Miller Lite to you, too, at 10:30 in the morning, Phil. See, Phil is probably an ally in our campaign to have Super Bowl Monday be a national holiday. President's Day is coming up. There are plenty of reasons to honor former presidents on President's Day. I would prefer to have Super Bowl Monday off.
Or just when the NFL inevitably moves the regular season to 18 games,
Expands.
the next step, then it'll just push the Super Bowl back a week, and there you go. Super Bowl Monday's off, just like that.
They have almost completely enveloped Valentine's Day. They are coming for everything, this giant greedy thing that is the NFL.
Oh, that's tomorrow.
Well, yes. Are you prepared?
Give me a minute.
Okay. You are so lucky Megan does not listen to this stupid thing. That
Hop on my laptop real quick.
That means I've lost Lucas for the rest of the show. He's scrambling to get his Valentine's Day situation figured out.
But the answer to Phil's question is nothing.
I mean, what should fans expect for them to do? Nothing. Roger Goodell said, we'll try our best. We sure will. Or you betcha. At a press conference where he's credentialed 2,000 media members to come and ask him questions that he's going to give non-answers to. Roger Goodell saying that the NFL officiating is in a great place, essentially, is what his lines were on. I think it was either Wednesday night or Thursday morning of last week, the press conference that he gave. I mean, it's just nonsensical, just completely nonsensical, where we're all seeing these things continue to crop up. And the excuse being given, a part of his answer was, we have more angles of this thing than we ever have before. Go easy on them, guys. And while I accept that is so, and that I have a lot of, when I'm watching a game at home, I have so many better vantage points than when I'm sitting in a press box. Like when I cover 17 regular season games from a press box, home or away, and especially some of the away stadiums where they stick the press boxes, like I'm at a game and I have a worse angle on these things than 90% of the audience because you're watching on television. When we go into post-game press conferences with Mike Vrabel and we're asking him questions about stuff that he can't see from the sideline, and he's just looking around at us like, they didn't show a replay. I don't know what to tell you guys, so we got to wait till Monday morning to ask him questions about this stuff. I get it, okay? But also, figure it out. Because all it's doing is making you look dumber every time you get in front of a microphone and say, oh, well, our officiating's never been in a better place. Buffalo hadn't called us in quite some time on the road. Is it okay? This is one that's going to throw me off. Is it Gladeville?
Go.
Nailed it. What's up, Buffalo?
Yeah, that's out there where Charlie Daniels came up next to Mount Juliet.
Where have you been?
I've just been hanging out, listening to y'all. I mean, y'all been quite very, very popular. You guys got a popular radio station for sure.
Well, what can we do for you, my guy?
Hey, I knew Mahomes was going to bring it home because he's been to the Super Bowl twice and he lost once. And when you lose the Super Bowl, I think that motivates you more than anybody on this planet. And you know, the Energizer Bunny that he is, Patrick Mahomes, you can't really keep that man down. And when they went into the half and they were only down by a touchdown or so, I said, well, we got this game. I got my $700 in the bank because Mahomes in the second half, forget about it. He's incredible in the second half. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you for the call, Buffalo.
And congrats.
Yes, indeed. We'll get to Mahomes later in the noon hour, and we also have to talk about AJ Brown. Like, this will be the last day. Can I make that promise? Do you think with certainty that today will be the last day that we talk about AJ Brown?
No. Something's going to happen. He's going to say something.
We've done I think as a show, we've done a pretty good job at that. Like, not falling into the AJ Brown thirst trap, because it's such an easy thing for us. But we do have to talk about the impact that he made on that game last night and get into Mahomes as well. It was, if you'll recall, was that Monday we had Dennis Kelly on? Former Titans tackle?
Was it Monday? It was.
Yeah, were you here Monday?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was Monday because didn't IU play Purdue on Sunday?
Yes. No, Saturday. Yeah, so we had Dennis on Monday. And we were talking to Dennis about playing the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. And Dennis Kelly in the first half of that game at Arrowhead caught a touchdown pass. They went up 10.
Yeah, 10-0.
10-0 on the Chiefs. Now, this was the same postseason that Deshaun Watson and the Texans, I believe in the previous round,
Yeah,
had
it was
gotten
the
up
divisional
like
round.
24-7 on the Chiefs. And the Chiefs came back. They ran out of fireworks in Arrowhead because they scored so many touchdowns and completely just went full freak mode and took out the Texans that way. So the Titans were rocking that 10-0 lead. Rashaan Evans misses a tackle. Patrick Mahomes scores a rushing touchdown to give them the lead going into the half, and then it just completely snowballs that way. So this thing about the Chiefs and Mahomes in particular, it's very, very real. But to talk about the way that you have to, and we'll get into the way that Philadelphia lost that game. I saw them make mistakes. I saw Philadelphia on defense make mistakes that I have not seen all season long. And that's just what it comes down to in the NFL. It is a collection of single game sample sizes that ultimately, dictate what your future is going to be. You look at them collectively, yes, but these individual things, what happens in a game, you can have 17,000 different results that come before the Super Bowl. And once you get into the Super Bowl, if you don't execute what it is that got you to that point, that one time, it can blow up in your face the way that it did for Philadelphia. 615-737-1045. We'll get to more of your phone calls coming up next. But sports brainwashing is very, very real. It is alive and well. We talked about tinfoil hats and conspiracy theories. There is one that is propagating the NFL, and it's driving me insane. We'll tell you what that is coming up next. Are we not playing Rihanna today?
We'll play some Rihanna.
I still can't get over how good that was. I got halftime show thoughts later on. Meanwhile, we're talking Super Bowl. 615-737-1045 to the phones. Dirty Bird calling us from the borough this morning. What's happening?
Nothing much. I love the show, guys. That's why I'm calling in. I actually kind of want y'all's advice on something. I'm just curious. So right now, unless something has changed, Lamar Jackson's still not got a contract, and I've been hearing a lot of stuff about my Falcons wanting. Would you guys trade Desmond Ritter and a couple of first-round draft picks for him for how much money he's wanting, or do you think because of his injuries and how much money he's wanting that would be a silly trade? I'm just curious what y'all would think. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for the call. So did you have a hard time hearing him?
Basically, if you're the Falcons, would you trade Desmond Ritter and a couple first-round picks for Lamar is what he's asking.
I mean, I don't care about Desmond Ritter.
Yeah,
sure.
That's the easiest part.
Yeah. That's the most I've thought about Desmond Ritter all season. And that's not, that probably sounds super disrespectful. It's just like, he's a third-round pick. It's the same way I look at Malik Willis. He's a third-round pick at quarterback. Like, if it doesn't work out, okay, whatever. It's not that deep. You're not attached to that dude by any sense of the imagination. Like, Dak Prescott is an anomaly. Jalen Hurts is an anomaly. First-round quarterbacks that pan out are kind of an anomaly. So, yeah, I have zero attachment to Desmond Ritter whatsoever. First-round picks for Lamar, sure, that's what it's going to cost. Like, if you have the money to go pay that dude, go pay him. I don't know anything about the Falcons and Lamar Jackson. That'd be fun.
It's just been a fun, like, projected landing spot for him.
I would love that. I think other than, like, selfishly, the ability to cover Lamar Jackson, like if he was to end up here, same reason I'd want Tom Brady because it's good for business. I think if I had to pick a spot to go or to send Lamar for pure entertainment purposes only, I would love to see Lamar as a Falcon.
It'd be fun to see what Arthur Smith could do with him in his offense.
Art would get wild. Do they still have Cordell Patterson like that?
Oh, yeah.
It just seems like it would be the best possible situation from an entertainment standpoint. Anyway, speaking of entertainment, Super Bowl was fantastic. Start to finish. Well, finish, okay. I mean, can we call it? Where would you rank that to do super sports talk radio stuff? Like, as far as Super Bowls that you have enjoyed, what is your favorite Super Bowl that you have watched in your lifetime?
From a purely entertainment standpoint, that I don't know how you don't say the 28-3 comeback, but I will say
because the first half was terrible.
Yeah, but that's what makes the game so great is because the first half was so terrible and the way the Patriots came back. But the Cardinals-Steelers Super Bowl always comes top of mind with James Harrison's pick six and the Santonio Holmes touchdown. I believe Holmes was MVP of that Super Bowl. I mean, just what a game that was of the Ken Wisenhunt coached Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's right.
Ken Wisenhunt made a Super Bowl.
I know. Everything comes here to die. I would say for me it's Malcolm Butler on the goal line. Malcolm Butler on the goal line or Nick Foles versus Tom Brady. Those are two of the best Super Bowls that I've watched. Just because, I mean, Nick Foles going toe-to-toe with Tom Brady, who damn near had 500 yards of offense. It's one of the most entertaining Super Bowls, just back and forth, and the drama of it that I've seen. Last night's got close, except for the finish, which I thought it just literally dropped dead. But everything that got us to that point saw the Chiefs ultimately come back. Pat Mahomes wins his second Super Bowl with Kansas City his second Super Bowl in 3 Super Bowl appearances. And Travis Kelce has obviously been a big part of that. So Travis Kelce is celebrating last night. He gets on the Fox Sports post game where they're interviewing Mahomes on the field, and then he's on the podium with Terry Bradshaw afterwards, and he's saying the same thing, which is
Mahomes and Travis Kelce. I gotta hear what happened in that locker room. I want to hear from both of you. What was said?
I mean, it was just everybody. It didn't come from one person. Everybody said we had to step our game up. Our defense played their ass off in that second half. In our offense, we found a way. Man, I just want to thank everybody, man. Everybody on this team, man. We battled. Oh, sorry for my language. Hey, get this man right here. Right here.
I know you're emotional.
Let us, man, one of y'all said the Chiefs were going to take it home this year. Not a single one. Feel that? Feel it? And on top of that, next time the Chiefs say something, put some respect on our name.
Fox having to dip in and out.
I thought that was you for a second.
No, that was Fox. Yeah, because they were very good at managing their dump button on their end of things.
That's efficient because they don't have. I mean, we have a longer delay than they do, right? On live television.
But yeah, not a single one of y'all.
What is he talking about?
Said the Chiefs would be here.
All right, we had this bit after the Bills loss, right? How there should never be a consensus Super Bowl favorite. Like from start to finish, the way that the Bills seemed like they were this regular season, there should never be a consensus Super Bowl favorite, especially when the AFC looked this year the way that it did coming into the season. But, like, get the bleep out of here, Travis Kelce. This is as bad as Georgia, the defensive tackle, saying that people were picking them to go 7-5.
No. He said 5-7.
There was one that said 5-7. But that was progressively, like, we saw more clips come out throughout the course of the week after they won the national championship. And you had one where they're talking about, you guys had us, not picked to win the SEC East. And then all of a sudden it became 7-5. And then the last one I saw was 5-7.
I would love to ask, who else would we have picked to win the SEC East? Tell me. Name somebody that we would. Nobody knew that Tennessee was going to do what they did. We were talking about 9 wins, best case scenario for Tennessee. Who else could we have possibly picked to win the SEC East? And out of the AFC in the Super Bowl, other than the Bills, who else was anybody picking to win the Super Bowl other than the Chiefs? Like, they had to be the second preseason favorite, right?
In the
not
AFC,
the first, they had
sure.
to be the second right behind the Bills.
No, Buffalo was first because I think they did have the better roster, top to bottom, when healthy, and then their health got away from them. Kansas City was right there, right there all year long. They're the number 1 damn overall seed again. I don't think has Pat played a road playoff game? I don't think Patrick Mahomes has ever played a road playoff game, like not counting a Super Bowl, not counting a neutral site.
Well, the Titans were the 1 seed. Well, yeah, I guess you're right because the Chiefs were the 2, right?
When the Chiefs were the 2. Buffalo had to go to Kansas City.
And then they hosted Cincinnati. Yeah, wow.
The Chiefs,
yeah,
Patrick
right.
Mahomes has not played a damn road playoff game. Get the hell out of here, Travis Kelce. I love him. He's tremendous. He had a couple of great catches in that game. He's acting like an idiot. It's the latest victim of sports brainwashing, and it must be stopped.
I mean, it's truly laughable. I get that that's what they need to do, and more power to them for that. And shout out to Andy Reid for manufacturing that somehow. Same with Kirby Smart.
I don't even think you think Andy Reid's in there. Nobody believes in you.
I don't know. That's more of a Kirby thing. I bet Kirby did that pretty strongly.
Well, there's evidence of Kirby doing that.
Yeah. And it's probably a lot easier to influence the minds of like 18 to 21-year-olds than it is grown men like Travis Kelce with, wives and families. But come on. Not a single one of you.
Well, he currently has neither, so he's kind of testosteroned up a little bit right now. Unbelievable. Now, I will say that here's the only defense, and somebody I love reading this name on live radio, Daddy Hot Drops on YouTube. Brings up the idea people had Chargers and Denver ahead of them this year. Now, they did not, as far as betting odds were concerned, the Chiefs had better Super Bowl betting odds than either the Broncos or the Chargers. But I will say that coming into the season, the Chargers and the Broncos were thought to be legitimately Super Bowl contenders. Like the Broncos, I think, had the 3rd or 4th best preseason Super Bowl odds in the AFC.
Russell Wilson was up there with like MVP on MVP betting boards preseason.
No, we talked about that being one of the most substantial moves in the NFL last year, and it ultimately was, but for the wrong reasons. So I will give Travis Kelce a little bit of the benefit of the doubt that people were paying more attention to the other people in their division this year than they have in years past.
And they lost Tyreek Hill. But acting like anybody would have been shocked if you told them preseason, hey, Chiefs are going to win it, is just laughable.
They have a quarterback who does things nobody's ever done. We'll talk about Mahomes and like in that category of player later on in the show. Meanwhile, we got to talk about the experience watching AJ Brown last night in the Super Bowl. If you want to get in on this, if you're tired of this, 615-737-1045, I understand. But I just sitting back and watching him perform in that game, I was made to relive a bunch of emotions all over again. We'll get into that coming up next. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
It is 11:01. Good morning from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Kansas City Chiefs are Super Bowl 57 champs, 38-35. The final, Chiefs trailed by 10 at half, but surged back, kicking a game-winning 27-yard field goal from Harrison Butker that was, of course, set up by a holding call on Eagles corner James Bradbury late in the fourth. And the Chiefs win their third Super Bowl.
And the pass is going to be underthrown. It's incomplete. It's incomplete. Everyone who claims the Chiefs Kingdom will raise a banner above the National Football League again.
That is Mitch Holthus on the Chiefs radio call. Pat Mahomes, Super Bowl MVP for the second time in his career. Also the first quarterback since 1999 to win league MVP and Super Bowl MVP in the same season. The Tennessee Vols fell on Saturday with yet another loss at the buzzer. Missouri's DeAndre Golston hitting a 30-footer at the death for Tennessee to fall 86-85, dropping to 19-6. And Vanderbilt picked up another win Saturday in Gainesville, 88-80 over Florida, 30 points, 10 rebounds for Liam Robbins. The Commodores are 13-12. Belmont improved to 18-9 over the weekend, a 98-71 win over UIC. Ben Shepard with 25 points. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second down on this Monday. Thanks for hanging out with us here on 104.5 The Zone. Jump in if you want. Lucas and I are with you until 1 o'clock. Super Bowl 57 in the books. Chiefs come out victorious, second for Patrick Mahomes in 3 Super Bowl appearances, the second for Andy Reid and Travis Kelce as well. But the losing side of things put up a hell of a fight. I want to get into the Philadelphia Eagles because neither of these franchises, as currently constructed, are going anywhere in the meantime. And one part of the Eagles' losing effort, I think, needs to be talked about, even if it's a sore subject. But we'll go to the phones here quickly. Kevin in Spring Hill has been waiting for a second. What's up, Kevin?
I was just listening to you all and talking about Travis's comments and everything. And I was telling Lucas there before he put me on hold that I think Travis was talking, he was talking directly to Terry Bradshaw and Jimmy Johnson and Michael Strahan. He was talking to the whole Fox crew because they all picked the Eagles, and some of them by as much as 10 points, which it looked like maybe that was going to be the case there for a few minutes. So I think that's where Travis was coming from on all that, was that he was directly talking to Terry Bradshaw saying, y'all didn't pick us.
In the pregame?
Yes.
Oh, he's not going to see that.
Michael
right,
also,
Kevin?
Michael also tweeted us a picture of it. It was a clean sweep. Everyone picked the Eagles.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is Travis Kelce doesn't have the television on before in the pregame locker room.
Yeah, well, in real world, tweet world, and all this, I'm sure info gets back to him. He probably knew it by the end of the game as he was getting up there on the podium.
Maybe I don't know that one way or the other. It's possible.
It's very possible.
I don't want to discount that because you're right. You could see that anywhere on the internet. For him literally to say that, because I thought he was talking about the beginning of the year. Did he not say specifically like none of y'all had the Chiefs at the start of the season or something like that? Can you play the clip again?
They've kind of had that tone. I'll have to track down where Travis starts talking, but they've kind of had that tone throughout the postseason.
It's okay. I can listen to Patrick Mahomes' Kermit the Frog voice for a little bit. That's okay. It's always makes me laugh when Mahomes gets in front of a microphone because it's been 5 years of him talking this way. You think I'd be used to it by now, but it's like Joey Bosa with that swamp monster voice. It catches
we found a way, man. I just want to thank everybody, man. Everybody on this team, man. We battled. Oh, sorry for my language. Hey, this is man right here.
I know you're emotional.
Man, one of y'all said the Chiefs were going to take it home this year. Not a single one. Feel that. Feel it. And on top of that, next time the Chiefs say something, put some respect on our name.
All right, so he didn't say specifically preseason.
But take it home this year. So it's sounding like he's talking. I do love Travis Kelce. He cracks me up.
No, I do too. I just think he's a bit of a dope in that spot. Yeah, come on. But I I don't know if he saw the pregame, like the pre-game predictions, like an hour and a half before kickoff or something like that they did on Fox. I don't know whether he did or not. It's possible. Meanwhile, you know what I did see? I saw AJ Brown. I saw AJ Brown make plays in a Super Bowl that only a handful of wide receivers in the NFL can make. I saw him catch a chunk play for a touchdown pass where he just completely, we talk about AJ's background playing baseball. It's funny when you can see that skill set translate in real time, because the way that he's able to track the ball or track the ball in the air that way, it's just such a specific skill set that I feel like we almost didn't see enough of here in Tennessee. A lot of like quick slant patterns, quick in-breaking routes that allow AJ to kind of, basically muscle his way through a couple of defenders, catch it and go, but not quite like that, where he's making those kind of deep receiving touchdown plays and tracking the ball in real time and helping Jalen Hurts, who has some limitations as far as a deep passer is concerned. What I watched last night with AJ, and I don't know why, maybe he just hadn't had a big postseason, but watching him make plays like that in the Super Bowl, it brought it back all over again. It made me angry all over again. The idea that this franchise traded away a wide receiver who does things that there's only so many players in the sport can do, and that guy had as good a chance to help them win a Super Bowl as anybody out on the field. The offense for Philadelphia did not lose the game. The defense and special teams. Miscues as far as getting pressure to the quarterback. It was the best sack defense in football, and they couldn't touch Mahomes. They didn't have a sack last night. And he was evading some pressure. The offensive line, I thought, played pretty well. Lucas, you brought up the idea that the playing surface was absolute garbage. I think that affected the pass rush on both sides, because Kansas City was the second best team in football this year when it came to sacking quarterbacks. They only had one on Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, but credit has to go to the Eagles' offensive line. The Chiefs' offensive line.
Yes,
and
both.
The way they ran the football, too.
They did. They had a more balanced attack than we have seen from them in the postseason thus far. They were finding ways. Patrick Mahomes had his longest run of the season, as Lucas mentioned earlier, on one bleeping leg. So that does matter. But I watched AJ perform in that game, and it frustrated me all over again. I had one of those Arthur Juan tweets. I could hear Mike Keith in my head. Arthur Juan Brown making the plays. And it was just like, oh, but not here anymore. And it's been a full season, and I know you're over it, and I know you don't want to talk about it anymore. He plays for Philadelphia, and you'll be now a full season removed from that trade going down. But I can't imagine that I'm the only one who had those emotions or those feelings watching that dude go out there and try and win a Super Bowl and get damn close in the process.
How many Titans fans watching that game also felt validated when Siposs had the low line drive punt that Tony ended up running back, the best punt return in Super Bowl history? It was his only punt of the game, and it was not good.
Yeah.
And that's what you get for benching Kern.
Well, I had an idea that Brett was not going to play in the Super Bowl, and it sounded like they were pretty close to activating that guy maybe 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah, when they opened his window to come back, you figured, okay, if he's healthy, he's probably, because he was their guy.
But like, Brett did not play well in San Francisco, respectfully.
Yeah.
Brett did not play well in San Francisco, so I don't think I understood why Titans fans were taking a victory lap for Brett Kern. You're totally entitled to do so. But
no, Siposs had 2 punts.
Yeah.
He had one good one.
And one very, very bad one. But I will say, the lack of discipline by Philadelphia in like their punt like lanes or whatever it's called, to allow that touchdown to take place, that's just sloppy special teams all around. It was a poor punt, but it was not helped by the collective special teams unit. And that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about, where you look at one-game sample sizes and say, all right, you could have done something well all season long. And in any one NFL game, in the biggest NFL game, the most important game of your season, it can crop up and completely detonate you. And that's what it felt like happened on defense and special teams to Philadelphia last night. Cheryl in Nashville is up next. Hey, Cheryl.
Hey, good morning. You guys are not the only one who feels that way. I will grieve that move of us losing AJ Brown forever.
Yeah.
I am tight and true to the day I die, but I wanted AJ to get a ring. If we had to lose him, I really wanted to see him get a ring last night. But yeah, we screwed up bad when we lost him.
Thank you so much for the call, Cheryl. I mean, it has to be among one of the worst trades in NFL history, does it not? He is a truly special player at one of the most important positions in the sport.
I mean, that's a long list that you'd have to go through and see if you're suffering any recency bias.
Like no, so like one that comes to mind, is it a worse trade than the Texans acquiring David Johnson for DeAndre Hopkins? Is it a worse trade than that?
Yes. Or I'm sorry, no. You don't know that yet.
You don't think that it's a worse trade?
If Treylon Burks turns out to be a number one receiver in this league, you cannot possibly say that it's a worse trade than David Johnson for DeAndre Hopkins in the prime of his career. No way.
The David Johnson thing was so bad. It's one of the worst Bill O'Brien things out there.
If the Russell Wilson thing continues to flame out the way that it has, that's a worse trade. What the Denver Broncos gave up for Russ.
Yeah, I agree.
So there you could probably go
the Raiders
through.
trading 2 high draft picks for Antonio Brown is up there. I feel like because he didn't even play a game for them.
Yeah.
I think that the Bills trading for Kelvin Benjamin was one of the worst trades that I've seen out there. Kelvin Benjamin, who played himself out of the league or ate himself out of the league very, very quickly. I think the Trent Richardson trade is probably up there for the Colts a couple of years ago, or rather for the Colts trading a first-round pick for Trent Richardson from the Cleveland Browns. At the time, there's probably a variety of different ones that we can look at, but I could not help but watch that and think, my God, if that's not one of the most egregious transactions in my lifetime watching the NFL. Maybe that's how I'll narrow it down a little more. But there have been some brutal ones. We will talk about the Philadelphia Eagles and kind of what they look like. There's a lot of free agents that are going to be discussed. They have a quarterback discussion that they need to have. And the idea, is Jalen Hurts the best quarterback in the NFC right now? 615-737-1045. We'll talk about that coming up next. I don't understand why you feel the need to do this to me. You told me we were going to do Rihanna today, and you give me Justin Timberlake.
I got this handled.
I don't think so. I haven't heard one Rihanna song today. I'm still buzzing off last night's halftime.
We'll get our Rihanna. We also came back every single bump on Friday to Rihanna.
There is more Rihanna. You who are saying that you would choose Rihanna over Beyonce, you were 6 songs of Rihanna's, that's all you've got?
We could do more Rihanna. Why don't you calm down over there? I will say I would have liked to hear some more oldies from her last night. I liked it.
Buddy,
every song hit. Awesome. Every song is just,
I will not let you criticize that halftime show.
But man, I would have loved to hear like Ponder Replay or something, or Disturbia.
We'll get to that. We'll do our halftime review at halftime of the show, which is actually coming up, as a matter of fact. Meanwhile, to the phones. Micah in Clarksville's next. Hey, Micah.
Hey, real quick. I feel like it used to be, conventional wisdom was we can't really judge a draft class until about 3 to 5 seasons have passed, and that window may have narrowed slightly. But my point here is, we traded AJ. First of all, I love AJ. Awesome. I hate that he's gone, but traded him for 2 draft picks. Those guys both started a lot last year on a very bad team. I feel like maybe we should wait until we've seen more than just one season from both of those guys before we decide that it's just the worst trade in the history of NFL. You know what I mean? Just give that a little more time, see how these guys are. If they're solid starters for several years, I think that makes the trade look a little better. I don't think AJ would have had the kind of season he had on this year's Titans team, and I don't think the Titans would have been a Super Bowl contender with AJ on the team this year. That's all I got. Thank you.
It's a very reasonable approach. It's the same one that Lucas took.
Yeah.
Because I said it's one of the worst trades that I've ever seen.
And people in the chat on YouTube are chiming in with some brutal ones in NFL history. The Herschel Walker trade comes to mind.
That's not the one that I saw first. You see this one from Russell?
Well, Ricky Williams?
No, trading a 5th for Dennis Daly is worse than the AJ trade. How it is February 13th and Dennis Daly is still catching strays. God.
Herschel Walker was traded to the Minnesota Vikings by the do you know anything about this trade? This is one of the most infamous trades in NFL history.
I know generally the details, but it's okay for me and the audience for you to refresh.
Yeah, so in 89, the Cowboys traded Herschel Walker, then a football player, to the Minnesota Vikings.
I was going to say, is it weird that I don't even think of Herschel as a football player anymore?
The Cowboys traded Walker to the Minnesota Vikings for a total of 5 players, a linebacker, a defensive back, a running back, another linebacker, and a defensive end, and 6 future draft picks. And the Herschel Walker experience was not great in Minnesota. And then same with Ricky Williams, that Mike Ditka traded Ricky Williams away for basically an entire draft to the Dolphins. And it was short-lived for Ricky in Miami, too. So there are, regardless of how this turns out, there are worse trades in NFL history. But, yeah, I agree. I don't think you can make a blanket judgment on it this early in Treylon Burks' career.
Yeah, but I want to. I really want to. It's so hard for me not to go from watching that guy for the last 3 years, AJ, just do unbelievable things, and then this, and not be just totally underwhelmed with what's in front of me. I mean, and you and Micah and everybody who thinks that I am being overreactionary today, you are correct. I'm being overreactionary about the AJ trade. It is not one of the worst trades. I mean, it's not a great trade by any standard of the imagination, just because of what this team looked like without him and was incapable of doing without him, and the team that signed him and traded for him for really pennies on the dollar, a first and the third, even if wide receiver is super positionally dependent, like, to put him in that situation, it's a bad trade, objectively. Even if Treylon Burks goes on to be a very, very good NFL wide receiver for several years for this franchise. But to have a visceral reaction the way that I and many others did last night, I think is totally fair. To be totally disgusted by the idea that this organization traded away AJ Brown for a first and a third. And just hit you like a ton of bricks every time you see that dude on the field. And we'll continue to. Because now you're talking about living up to an impossible standard. He's one of 4 players in NFL history to ever have the kind of statistical success that he has had. 4 since 1970. And he did that here in an offense that doesn't throw the football like that. So now when you're watching him be even more nuanced as a player because he's being asked to do more things in a passing offense that's got a little bit more variety to it, then yeah, I think it's okay for you to still be butthurt about that trade. John in Hendersonville is next. Hey, John.
Guys, you've got the Ricky Williams trade messed up. Ditka traded the whole New Orleans draft for Ricky Williams.
Oh, did you get that
Yeah,
backwards?
no, I did get that. So he did trade Ricky to Miami for some draft picks at the end of Ricky's stint in New Orleans. But yes, when they drafted Ricky Williams out of Texas, Mike Ditka literally gave up the Saints' entire draft just for that one pick of Ricky Williams in the first round. They didn't make another pick in that draft. And then Ricky, played 3 years in New Orleans, got traded to Miami, and then immediately had the best year of his career in Miami.
So that's just you covering up the fact that you got it wrong.
I did. I got it mixed up. I was thinking about the trade.
I give you grace in explaining yourself. You hit me over the head with audio of me saying the things that are wrong.
Yeah, but I have that power.
What, you think I would abuse that power if I had access to it?
Absolutely. You just don't have it.
Oh, goodness. Emmett Jones says the AJ Brown trade was a fireable offense. That's correct. Somebody did get fired over that.
Quite literally.
Quite literally. And honestly, the more that I think about it, it can exclusively be a fireable offense. It doesn't even have to be all the other things that are wrong with this roster right now, or that were wrong with this roster at the end of the season. Just watching AJ do that in a Super Bowl and potentially have the ability to win a Super Bowl and him not be a part of the reason why they lost the Super Bowl. Yeah, it's a fireable offense. Bobby in Franklin is next. Hey, Bobby.
How's it going, guys? My question is with the salary cap, I wonder if we could have kept Landry, Simmons, and Brown on the same team. And even then, I kind of think Robinson made the wrong choice and probably should have kept Brown and Simmons. Second thing is, I think Brown wanted to go. I think he saw the handwriting on the wall. I think he saw that for an offense with Derrick Henry, who's going to get the ball 25 to 30 times, that reduces targets, that reduces his production. It's nothing personal. I just think and sure enough, he ended up getting 88 catches this season. So that's my take. I'll let you guys talk.
Thanks for the call, Bobby. So to go through the math, it would obviously complicate things if you tried to pay Harold, Jeff, and A.J. Brown, with Ryan Tannehill's contract being the way that it is currently, and Derrick Henry having a $16 million cap hit. You can't have all the best players. So there is some truth to that. But I do think offense wins championships right now. It just is what it is. Like, I'm not saying that you can get away with having a bad defense. It doesn't hurt that Kansas City and Philadelphia both had the 2 top sack defenses, Philly 1, Kansas City 2 in football this year. That obviously matters a great deal. But sacks is a number in and of themselves I don't get caught up in. The ability to affect the quarterback goes so much further beyond sacks. And if you look at different numbers, you can find defenses that are more effective consistently at pressuring quarterbacks, at disrupting quarterbacks who may not have the best sack numbers. So, I mean, if you're asking me who would I prioritize in that moment, yeah, I would prioritize A.J. Brown over either Jeff Simmons or Harold Landry, and I would do it 9 times out of 10. I would. One or the other. If you can keep one and let go the other, as opposed to what it looks like may happen now, where you have Harold under contract already and Jeff Simmons, who we'll see, but does seem like in all likelihood is going to get a long-term deal here, then yeah, I would say prioritize one of the offensive player, the best wide receiver that I've seen play for the Titans, or the most talented wide receiver that I've seen play for the Titans. Prioritize him over one of the defensive guys. Yes. Because offense wins championships right now. Marcus Mosher had these numbers. Here are the points per game rank among the last 7 Super Bowl winners. The 2022 Chiefs were number 1 in points per game. The Rams were 7th. Bucks 3rd. Chiefs in 19, 5th. Patriots in 18, 4th. Eagles in 2017, 3rd. Patriots in 2016, 2nd. The Rams are the anomaly there. and they're coached by the offensive wonderkind, right? They got a substantial upgrade at quarterback in Matt Stafford and went on a Super Bowl run. They need to have answers, and that's what their whole offseason becomes. Like, we're going to have plenty of time to talk about the Titans and what they need in the draft and what Tim Kelly can do to improve the offense. We'll have all the time in the world between now and September, God help us, to get into those conversations. But there is no disputing. You can't tell me that you would rather prioritize the 2 defensive players over keeping AJ Brown. And whether AJ wanted to be here or not, like, there was obviously some posturing. AJ wanted to be compensated. And it just so happens that Philadelphia valued him more. AJ wanted to play for somebody that valued him. And the response here was, we value you to a point. When they got to a place where they didn't think a deal was going to be able to be tenable or to be done, they panicked and they traded the guy off for pennies on the dollar for what he's actually worth. And he's a game changer. That is what it is. We have, and that will conclude our relitigation of the AJ Brown trade.
Please.
I'm done. You didn't look at that touchdown reception and be like, damn.
Yeah, the whole game, the whole performance. And he was due, right? Because he hadn't really been that active in the postseason. Right. Jalen Hurts missed him a couple times in the NFC Championship game. You felt like an AJ Brown game was coming. So I get it, but all
right, I'm done.
When it just naturally devolves to just relitigating what happened, and it's like, all right.
No, I gave it 10 minutes. I'm done.
30, but yes.
30. What do you mean 30?
We started talking about this at the top of the hour.
Did you just throw your microphone?
My headset.
Were you upset?
I should have played it like that. My headset banged the microphone.
Theater of the mind. But the Eagles are not going anywhere. Have you looked at the cap space for Philadelphia lately?
Jalen Hurts still on a rookie deal.
I mean, they're going to have to pay him. They got to figure that out.
So this is
at this point
year 3, right? So he's got 1 year left on that rookie deal, and they don't have the 5th-year option.
Right, but it would be. I mean, they have the franchise tag option.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, when Joe Burrow, for example, or Lamar, whomever gets this $50 million a year deal first, between the two of them, it would be wise to do a Jalen Hurts deal at a more reasonable number before those dudes start getting paid.
Yeah, go ahead, get ahead of it.
I mean, I'm certain that Howie Roseman is thinking that exact same way, because Jalen Hurts, the amount of money that Jalen Hurts counted against the salary cap this year, it's going to disgust you.
Oof.
$1.64 million.
Yeah. Dirt cheap. Like, has to be the cheapest. I wonder who the cheap,
Herbert was not making much. I think Herbert was like 1.7.
Well, I'm trying to think of quarterbacks that have led their team to the Super Bowl, but you can't play it that way because, with the way inflation goes up and the salary cap keeps going up.
Yeah, no, it's
you
not
can't do that.
Fair. And then you would even go back like even further because there's different like tiers for rookie deals going back a couple of years ago.
Right. But Joe Burrow getting there on a rookie deal last year, far more money as a first number 1 overall pick than second round pick Jalen Hurts. I'm trying to think of what quarterbacks in recent memory that have gotten to the Super Bowl during their rookie deal that you could look at a number comparatively as far as costing the team less money.
Russell Wilson. Russ was a 3rd round pick, if I remember correctly.
Was it his second year in the league?
I think his second year they went to the Super Bowl, or they won the Super Bowl, and then they went back his 3rd.
Right.
So I'm pretty sure, and you may fact check me on this, but I believe that they were playing with a 3rd round rookie quarterback in 2 Super Bowls at a very, very cost-effective rate. Because that was even before, like, they hadn't done big deals for, like, Richard Sherman or Cam Chancellor yet. Like, they were still a very cost-effective team.
Yeah, Russell's first contract as an NFL player was 4 years. Hold on, that's not 4 years, about $3 million.
Yeah, so he would have been making a fraction of even Jalen Hurts' 1.6 in that 3rd year. Or in that second year, well, second and 3rd year. But yeah, I mean, it's so when you have a quarterback like that can elevate and play. I mean, the man had over 300 yards of total offense.
He was really good.
In a Super Bowl. He played as well as he has all year in that Super Bowl. And so when I brought up the idea earlier to start the show, if Jalen Hurts might be the best quarterback in the NFC right now, if Aaron Rodgers is definitely past the peak of his powers, which we've said before, by the way, but it's just such a crapshoot with this dude every year now.
But even if he's not, he is likely out of the NFC. So just take Aaron Rodgers out of the discussion. Packers aren't going to trade him to an NFC team, we believe.
Until that happens,
sure.
I think he needs to stay in the discussion. But even then, I think the discussion is Jalen Hurts has consistently performed better in playoff games than Aaron Rodgers. Like, I know he wasn't statistically great in the divisional round in the championship game, but like in a Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts played better than I've seen Aaron Rodgers play in a playoff game.
Yeah, well, this is the only year of a sample size that we have of Hurts in the postseason, and he delivered.
Well, no. I mean, they were one and done.
Right. That's what I'm saying, of multiple postseason games. Yeah, one and done against the Bucs last year.
So, I mean, but like who else is even in that conversation in the NFC? Russ is gone, and even he is obviously not Russell Wilson anymore, or not what we associate with Russell Wilson anymore. Kyler Murray is not a part of that conversation.
You'd have to go down to Dak.
But it's that big a drop-off between Jalen and Dak? I mean, we do consider there to be a drop-off between Jalen and Dak.
After this season, I think you have to say that with the way Dak turned the ball over. You wouldn't have said that, obviously, coming into this season.
And by the way, Philadelphia is going to have to figure some things out. Like, their roster is still intact, but Shane Steichen their offensive coordinator is about to be the new head coach of the Colts. That report came out yesterday or maybe Saturday evening when that was being reported as a done deal. They're also talking about Jonathan Gannon, the DC, for the Arizona job now, and Eric Bieniemy for the offensive coordinator job in Washington. So 3 of the 4 Super Bowl coordinators could be changing jobs this year. That's not insignificant. So the impact of that on Jalen Hurts moving forward, I'd be fascinated to see. But right now, I think you can completely have the conversation of Jalen Hurts being regarded as the best quarterback in the NFC at present. Let's talk about halftime. We got to get into halftime. Lucas apparently is going to slander Rihanna. Are you prepared for this? I hope the Navy
What are
comes
you
after
talking about?
You already started criticizing that. I'm telling you, I have no room for criticism on this halftime show.
I very much enjoyed the halftime show.
Didn't sound like it. We're going to get into that coming up next. So Super Bowl 57 in the books. Chiefs over the Eagles. And I think the thing that the vast majority of people were more excited for was Rihanna. Doesn't it feel that way? You're at a Super Bowl party every year. Maybe half the room's there for the football. The other half is there for commercials and halftime. Is that a fair split?
Yes. People were very excited about Rihanna.
Were you at a Super Bowl party last night?
Yes. A lot of food.
I made 200 by Super Bowl, and I just completely wrecked it. I didn't weigh myself this morning. I didn't want to.
That's okay. No, I think that's fair.
I didn't want to look.
You achieve your goal, go crazy,
buddy. I ate so much food yesterday. It was disgusting. We had people over. I didn't have to cook any of it. It was just there when I got done with the primetime show at like 4:30, and I went ham. Literally, those like little ham sandwiches on the Hawaiian rolls, with the sesame seeds on top. God knows what they're glazed in. Woo!
Yeah, we had those too.
Yum. But Rihanna last night, I was as excited for the halftime show as I was for the game, because we talked about this, and I don't know how it went, full Jordan versus LeBron earlier in the week with you, me, and Robert. But
Rihanna versus Beyonce.
Rihanna, we did the laziest version of sports talk radio possible around the pop culture thing. We did Beyonce or Rihanna, and I think we came out after some convincing of me, with consensus that Rihanna would be the show that all three of us would want to go see over Beyonce. Now, I did not know prior to that conversation that she had not performed live in 7 bleeping years.
Yeah, she just had a kid, and there's another one on the way.
Well, but nobody knew that.
Yeah, they announced it. They made it public after the game, after the performance, that yes, she is indeed pregnant.
So the women in the room at the Super Bowl party last night, they were breaking it down like, we were the game. They're dissecting every element of the choreography, of the fashion, of the moves, of the song selection. And one of the girls who was watching the game with us was like, I think she's pregnant. And I'm looking at Rihanna. I'm like, oh, okay, she got a little baby bump or something like that. But you said she just had her first kid. She had her kid back in like May, though. Now, I don't know how these things work. Maybe hang on to some of that for a while. Probably depends on the individual. But for that to be your pregnancy announcement in front of 67,000 people live and tens of millions more watching in God knows what places all around the world, like, the song selection was great. The stage itself, the floating platforms and how they were orchestrated, and the dancing, like all of it, I thought was, maybe you could say, all right, I wish I would have heard this song here instead of that song or whatever. And I think people have gotten so accustomed to the collaboration element of, no pun intended, given that that's half the promos that I hear running in commercial breaks, but like collaborative efforts during the Super Bowl halftime show, where you had 9 damn performers last year as a part of one. They give them 8 minutes, I think, to do the show.
A little more than that. It's like 10 to 12.
Okay, 10 to 12.
But I love the no guest performers. She doesn't need your guest performers.
She was a couple. She when she got to Umbrella, like, okay, if she wanted to do Jay-Z, like, here it is.
He was there.
He was there, and I was like, okay, maybe this is a thing. And then she rocked it herself. And
she
then
didn't need him.
They finished with Diamonds, and she's like above on the platform. The place is going crazy. The fireworks, all of it. Mwah, chef's kiss.
I thought it was really good. Yeah. You can pick and choose. Like, I would have liked to hear this song and this song, but ultimately she can't play every song, every hit. She has too many. Just way too many. It's amazing when you sit down and you go through the list of songs that Rihanna has her name on, that, at least for people like you and I, just decorated our entire childhood and teenage years and 20s. It is crazy. Rihanna has put together like a musical dynasty with the amount of hits that she's put up there.
Well, and she doesn't have to lean on music because she's running the whole fashion industry. She's an economy unto herself. And just decides, I'll play a couple of songs for you at your silly little football halftime show. Why not? And I'll kill it. I think it's one of my favorite halftime shows that I've seen.
Yeah.
But here's my thing. All right, because every year there is this. I remember coming away from Shakira and Jennifer Lopez, and the shock and horror of a certain segment of the population that was not prepared for the hip thrusting.
Wasn't that the one where MIA flipped the bird at the camera, too?
Yeah, it was great. I loved it. But, listen, there's generational differences. I understand that. I am aware that the music of Rihanna, we are speaking specifically to our generation more than any, although I'm sure there are, it reaches outside of the late 20s, early 30s demo. But I was waiting for the amount of tweets, and I got some because I, have some tweets about the halftime show, just how you have some tweets about the football game. And I was waiting for somebody to talk to me about how horribly inappropriate all the crotch grabbing and, she's shaking it a little bit. She's out there. I was just like, are we that repressed with the musical and dance performances that like we're going to treat Rihanna up there moving it as a pregnant lady?
I feel like you want to get those comments so you can come out and talk about it.
Well, yeah, because I hate that.
Yeah, I feel like you're refreshing your Twitter, hoping you would get some of those so that you could come out and talk about.
Have you seen what those look like? Anytime you tweet about something non-sports, I got accused.
I'm just saying. I think you invite it,
buddy. I got accused of being a Satanist because I liked her music last night.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I think you enjoyed this part of it. I think you go out of your way to look for those comments so you can come on here to talk about.
Yeah, because I want to crush that. I want to crush comments like that because they are so mind-numbingly stupid. The idea that you could get up there, see Rihanna perform, and treat it like a parent watching Elvis move his knees that way in the 40s or 50s or whatever it is.
Ultimately, it was good because all the songs were good. Like, I liked all the songs. But as far as the stage was amazing, but it's not up there with the greatest of my lifetime. Like, it's not up there with Prince.
No, I'm not saying that. It's just I have such low expectation because they did the dusty old rock band performances for the longest because they were scared of another nip slip like they had with Janet Jackson, so they're trying to clean up the Super Bowl for a couple of years.
A lot of people like the Rolling Stones. You know that, right? Like, come on, get out of here with your dusty old rock band take.
No, I'm not saying that the
most of the time the dusty old
Rolling
rock bands.
Stones,
most of that's who you're talking about.
The corpses of the Who out there are not who I want to watch at the Super Bowl halftime.
Get out of here besmirching the Who. Also, the good thing about those rock bands is they play an actual set. Like, as much as I love every song Rihanna played, I'm not a huge fan of the jumping around from sample to sample, like doing one verse of one song and jumping straight into the chorus of another. Like that's what I loved about the Prince show it was a set, like 3 or 4 songs, but he played the whole songs. He did a cover of the Foo Fighters in his halftime show. I mean, it truly, like, only 12 minutes, but it felt like a concert as opposed to just like, hitting the skip button on your Spotify. Like most of the pop and hip-hop artists do at the halftime show. They just want to crank out as many of their hits as they can. But that's what I like about your dusty old rock bands is that they'll actually play a set, and it's awesome.
I didn't say Prince. I said The Who. The Who one really bothered me. I don't know why. I was just
get out of here. Don't besmirch The Who. Don't besmirch. If you besmirch Tom Petty in front of me, I'll walk out of the studio.
R.I.P.
Don't besmirch the Rolling Stones. And I know you like Bruce Springsteen. So get out of here with your dusty old rock band.
No, but like even Bruce, like, and I it's the only stereotypical sports writer thing about me is that we all love Bruce Springsteen for whatever reason. It's like in your DNA if you work in sports, you have to like Bruce to some degree. But like when 65-year-old Bruce is sliding across the stage on his knees and he runs his crotch into a camera and you just feel bad for the old man. Yeah, it's a similar vibes for me anyway, even as I love Bruce Springsteen. 615-737-1045 is how you can join the discussion. We do have to talk about the number of coordinators. What are you laughing about? What's wrong?
Josh on the line here is tired of us talking about Rihanna.
Okay, well, let's see. Josh in Hillsborough is next.
Greetings and salutations. That's strictly taken out of context because people bashing Rihanna about being pregnant.
Are people doing this today? I have not seen people going at Rihanna for being pregnant on the Super Bowl stage.
No. Again, we're talking about sports talk, and last night was a weird, wild game. And halftime shows, like, let's take it out of context. Last year's halftime show, absolutely gas. And yes, you could take Whitesnake, any band from the 80s, hair band, awesome. They're going to dedicate a whole set, but come on, man, this is apples to oranges, guys. Thank you.
That's fair. It's fair. And I think to have that kind of variety, like if they switched it up every year, like we've done 2 more modern Super Bowl halftime performances, although that was like a really like big like callback to like the roots of hip hop in LA when they did it at SoFi last year. That was more of a generational, like across the board type of thing. But yeah, I think there's good variety to go from one to the other like that. I just who is your ideal Super Bowl performance? Like, who would you want to see play the Super Bowl? And I'm not talking about like a concert. It's a different conversation.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question. I can't. I'm trying to think of the one artist that I think would crush the halftime show.
Because it has to be a big enough act to warrant the Super Bowl.
It can't just be like my favorite band.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Somebody in the chat earlier said Taylor Swift, who they tried to get, right, for this halftime show.
Well, they were trying to, like, gaslight her almost, it seems, into taking the halftime show.
Yeah. I'm not even a big Taylor Swift person. I like some of her music, but I bet she would put on a good halftime show.
It's about the performance as much as it is about the music, I think. Anyway, let's talk about the 3 of the 4 coordinators in the Super Bowl last night who are potentially changing jobs, and one of them seems like a lock to come to the AFC South. We'll tell you what's going on with the Colts coaching search coming up next. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
It is 12:01. Good afternoon from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. I'm Lucas Panzica. So the 2022 NFL season is officially over after the Kansas City Chiefs' 38-35 win over the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 57. So as we jump in to the official first day of the offseason, there is coaching movement around the league. The New York Jets are hiring former Titans offensive coordinator Todd Downing as their new passing game coordinator. That is, according to Ian Rappaport. Also around the AFC South, the Indianapolis Colts are nearing the end of their coaching search. Adam Schefter reporting this morning that Eagles offensive coordinator Shane Steichen will be in Indy this afternoon and is expected to finalize a deal to become the next head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. College basketball, the new AP Top 25 is out. There is a new number one team in the country. It is the Alabama Crimson Tide. Next up, they'll head to Knoxville on Wednesday to face Tennessee, who dropped from number 6 to number 10 after yet another buzzer-beater loss, this time on Saturday at home against Missouri. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Final hour on this Monday. What is happening? Hope everybody had a great weekend. If you're just hopping on, thanks for hanging with us. If you've been here for the first two, 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. NFL season comes to a close, exciting fashion. 38-35, Chiefs over the Eagles, the final score. Patrick Mahomes, not just the regular season MVP, but the Super Bowl MVP as well. I want to talk about Pat here in just a little second.
Can you tell me the last player that did that? Super Bowl MVP and league MVP, same year?
I feel like I could get away with saying Tom Brady.
No. It came at the Brady only 3 league MVPs?
I think he's only got 3 regular season MVPs.
It came at the expense of the Titans. Does that?
Oh, is it Kurt Warner?
Yeah.
Really?
99, last time that happened.
It's been that long? That's interesting. But I mean, there's the difference between a regular season award and a postseason award. Either way, Patrick Mahomes, spectacular last night, and we'll have some time to talk about him. Meanwhile, as I mentioned earlier, at some point in the last hour, 3 of the 4 Super Bowl coordinators. So you have Eric Bieniemy and Steve Spagnuolo, the offensive and defensive coordinators for the Kansas City Chiefs. Then you have Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon.
Steichen?
You
say Steichman?
I did say Steichman. Thank you. Steichen and Jonathan Gannon, offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator for the Eagles. 3 of those 4 individuals are likely to have new jobs by the time next season begins. And one of them, it seems like, is going to land in the AFC South. So the Colts want to hire and seem like are in the process of reaching an agreement, although they can't announce it officially until pen is put to paper because they have a recent experience of somebody who kind of one-night standed them, for lack of a better term. Just left like a thief in the night. In McDaniels, Josh McDaniels a couple years ago, accepted the job, didn't officially, put pen to paper, and then all of a sudden he was not the Colts head coach, and Frank Reich was. So what the reporting is that they have targeted Shane Steichen, the offensive coordinator of the Eagles, to hire him as their next head coach if the side's going to reach an agreement on a contract.
According to Schefter, he'll be in Indy today, this afternoon, to finalize that.
So, and that they cannot agree to a deal until after the Super Bowl. So, obviously, that's now moving forward. And it would be the second time that they have hired a Philadelphia Eagles coordinator to take over their job. It will also be the third Philadelphia Eagles connection that the Indianapolis Colts have because Nick Sirianni, was he the OC or the quarterback's coach?
He was OC under Frank Reich.
OC under Frank Reich goes to Philadelphia to become the head coach, and obviously very successful there. So this would be an interesting hire, and it's not Jeff Saturday, so it's the least interesting, honestly, of all the options that were potentially on the table, and not one of the names that I think has been talked a lot about for a lot of these different jobs, right? I mean, you've heard a couple of things. And by the way, being a good coordinator does not guarantee that you're going to be a good head coach. So it's kind of a test size for Indianapolis, who needs to hit on a couple of different things to get themselves back on track. Shane Steichen, though, when you read things about him, when you hear people talk about him, basically he's regarded as one of the best coaches in the NFL about putting players in position to succeed with their scheme. Now, they obviously have certain concepts that they like to run. The Eagles are as multiple an offense as any you'll find in the league this year because they have the personnel to do so. I mean, you could say the same thing about Tom Brady and the Bucs the year that they went to the Super Bowl. If Brady needed to drop back and throw it 50 times a game, they were equipped. If they needed to come out in 2 tight end sets and run the ball 25, 30 times collectively, they could do that with Leonard Fournette because they were equipped. The Eagles have one of the most complete rosters in football, so to look at Shane Steichen and say, all right, well, he's clearly putting the players in the best possible position to succeed. Well, he's also got the best players. So you got to grade that on a curve, I think.
Well, does he not deserve credit for the jump Jalen Hurts took from year 2 to year 3?
Absolutely does.
And how raw of a prospect Hurts was when they drafted him?
I'm not taking anything away from Shane Steichen. All I'm saying is it's a lot easier when you have the best offensive line in football, when you have the best collection of skill position players in football. The quarterback position is not a given, but he's good enough and he figured it out, right? They deserve credit for that. But management of an NFL team becomes a totally different thing. So we have no idea what that's going to look like in Indy. But that's the hire that they're going to make. And whatever happens at quarterback for the Colts and the Texans, I think is going to be one of the biggest storylines of the offseason. The AFC South is fascinating. Heading into a season of, shall we call, influx for 3 of the 4.
Absolutely. Everything is in balance right now in that division.
And it sounds like, based on the reporting that we talked to you about last week, that people are actively jockeying for the Bears' first overall pick because somebody's trying to trade up to get a quarterback. Coach Mack talks about it all the time, and this will be largely the genesis of our conversations with Mack through the draft process. There's the draft, and there's the quarterback draft, and those are 2 different things. So the quarterback draft this year is fascinating, and the Colts and the Texans both need a quarterback. So what Shane Steichen's preferences are and how much that'll be factored into the equation of, does Chris Ballard trade up? Chris Ballard, who still miraculously has his job in Indianapolis. That dude would survive a nuclear holocaust in that job, it would seem. But Chris Ballard, who needs to get their roster right with a couple of mishaps that may or may not have been of his own making, and an offensive coordinator or an offensive background for the new head coach, I think that's going to be a big part of the discussion around whether Indy trades up to get Bryce Young. That's the player that people are talking about trading up, not C.J. Stroud. I mean, maybe Will Levis. I can't imagine a world where Will Levis goes before C.J. Stroud, though. Can you? I guess it depends on the place. But
dude, it's February.
God, I know we're about to have these conversations though until May.
Yeah, like these the tone of these conversations evolve over the course of the next couple of months.
I know. Bear with me, buddy. Don't. I can't lose you yet. It's the day after football season ended.
I know.
Stay with me.
But like, surely this person is of more value to this team. Like we're only a couple weeks away from the combine.
It's not fall. I mean, it's going to be here before you know it, and obviously, combine will be a big opportunity for a lot of these guys. But as far as the Eagles go, man, they have $50 million in cap space. They've got Jalen Hurts on a rookie deal. They've got skill position players, one on a big contract. Devontae Smith. Is Goddard on a second contract? I don't believe so.
I don't think so.
Right now.
He had a nice game last night.
I mean,
had a nice year.
They went to Zach Pascal had a nice game last night. Zach Pascal, who I've seen on Titans practice squads or end of roster like training camp squads in years past. Zach Pascal is out here catching passes in the Super Bowl and making good plays.
Yo, he was like wide receiver 2 in Indy, right?
He during the Andrew Luck, T.Y. Hilton heyday, Andrew Luck and T.Y. would kill the Titans. But Zach Pascal had good games against the Titans. It's honestly crazy when you see guys like that and Jack Doyle.
So
Jack
Goddard
Doyle leave spots and go tear up another team.
Goddard is on a second contract.
Okay.
I didn't realize he had gotten drafted in 2021. So
By Philadelphia?
But he did get a second deal. He is on a 4-year, $57 million contract.
Okay, so he's being well compensated, and they still have $50 million in cap space. So what they do this year is going to be really, really critical, and they've got draft picks. The Eagles have draft picks from all over the place.
Well, his cap hit, Goddard's, goes up from about $6.5 million this year to $19.5 next year.
Okay, so he just got that deal done then.
Yeah.
All right. So the Eagles draft picks coming up in 2023 right now. They have 6. For reference, teams like the Texans have 11. But the Eagles have 2 first-round picks this year, a second, a third, and 2 sevenths. So they're totally capable of re-equipping themselves and making some moves financially that can continue to keep this thing at a highly competitive level. And, they have to make a decision on Jalen Hurts here in the near future. We'll get your phone calls coming up next. We also have to talk about Patrick Mahomes and the work that he did last night because I believe that man just solidified himself as a Pro Football Hall of Famer. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back. Super Bowl 57. That's a wrap, kids. Have the football season scaries hit you yet?
They hit me at the end of the Titan season because just being the end of the travel for us and the, weekends of work, it just ends so abruptly. You're never ready for it to end.
Oh, I was. This year? You weren't ready?
No.
Oh, my God.
I wasn't. You think you are, and you're like, man, I kind of can't wait for a break. And then it ends, and then you're just kind of sitting there, and it's like, oh. I don't know. It wasn't. It did. I didn't like.
That team was dead in the water for, for the better part of 2 months, but I was so
sure.
ready.
Yeah, I get that. But just the general hustle of football season. You get caught up in it, and then you're sad it's over.
You need a hobby.
I know. I really need a hobby.
Well, this was something I told you. I did random things that maybe I need the structure of football season because I did like a random thing one day after the show. I just went and got a tattoo, and the guy that was doing my tattoo was like, "So what do you do for fun?" It's like, "Oh, I don't know.
Get tattoos, I guess." Gonna come back with a sleeve?
I mean, I would like a sleeve. Like I think I would. Maybe that would speak to some kind of like quarter life crisis going on. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe one is okay. Two is like, all right, bud, what you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I get getting a tattoo and stuff, but for you to get Don's face on your thigh, I thought was kind of weird. But whatever.
Well, I lost a bet.
You do you.
Speaking of losing bets, I have to paint my face like an eagle at some point this week. Damn it. Everybody picked the damn Eagles, too. I knew as soon as that went, like, full go across the board, I'm like, oh, there's no chance I win this game. Because to see the two of you with giant Chiefs logos on your face in here at some point this week would have been hilarious. But unfortunately, we were deprived of that.
I mean, I had my logic going in was Patrick Mahomes is 27 years old. He has a Super Bowl to his name. He's been to 2, and yet I feel like he's due another one.
Oh, because he's not – I don't even think he's, like, peaked.
Yeah, that was my frame of mind going in. Like, I love the Eagles. I love their roster top to bottom, but I just can't see Patrick Mahomes going to 3 Super Bowls and losing 2 of them.
I don't. Well, let's talk about this, and we'll get to the phones here in just a second. A quick reminder, though, that you can join 104.5 The Zone and hundreds of other brave souls across the state for the coolest thing you'll do in 2023. That's the 23rd Music City Polar Plunge. It's coming up Saturday, February the 25th at Nissan Stadium. I've done it every year but the COVID year. It is such a fun event, and it supports a great cause in the Special Olympics of Tennessee. Whether you jump or just put your toes in, Lucas is going to do this, by the way, you'll be helping us build a bigger, better, and cooler community for those Special Olympics athletes. For more info or to register, visit specialolympics.org/polar plunge today. Eric in Nashville is up first. Hey, Eric.
Hey, guys, before I get to Super Bowl, real quick, I just want to comment on the halftime show. It was interesting because it was sponsored by Apple, and I don't think a lot of people got it. When they were up on stage stuff and the way they did the light, it actually was Rihanna and the dances on Apple products. That's what I thought when they would do it, the way they were doing it with the lighting and everything. But with the dancers in white and everything, to me they looked like either marshmallows or dressed in pillowcases or something. But somebody was saying it was iPods. I don't know, but that's kind of what I got.
Eric, give me just a second. Who would your ideal halftime show be before you give me your insights on the game?
Oh gosh, it's tough, guys, because I really don't get into the halftime shows. I mean, there've been some interesting ones over the years. It would be tough to pick one that I guess would appeal to everybody because there's some that won't.
No, not everybody. Ones. You, Eric, you. I don't care about everybody else. I'm talking to you.
I guess an interesting halftime, if you could get the artist to do it, maybe he's done it before. I think an interesting one would be Snoop Dogg, but I don't know if he'd do it or something like that. But anyway, that's just throwing a name out there. But as far as the game, a couple of things. You were talking about the Eagles. Also, there's talk that Lane Johnson may retire. There's also talk that Jason Kelce may retire. We'll have to see about that. And according to Jeremy Fowler, the Eagles had 11 free agents, 8 on defense. So it's going to be interesting to see who they can sign and all that stuff. And also for the NFL, you paid $300,000 for that field. You need your money back. That field last night was terrible where all the players and stuff were slipping and sliding.
Yeah.
So you need all that new stuff. And, guys, I don't know if you heard about this. Did you hear about what happened to Philadelphia both before and after the game?
No.
Well, apparently they were having some problems getting the broadcast to Philadelphia fans. I don't know what the station was. They luckily got it back on before the game started, but a lot of Eagles fans in different parts of Philadelphia couldn't see the game. Luckily they got back to it before the game started. But here was when that call happened, and after the game, they said Philadelphia fans went nuts. And I think they would have done it if they had won the Super Bowl. But they said there were people fighting in the streets, stabbing, some shootings, and they were turning over cars and stuff like that. There was just a lot of destruction in Philadelphia. And like I said, I think it would have happened if they had won the game as well. But I guess that's to say that brotherly love. You had the Phillies who lost the World Series. You had the Eagles that lost the Super Bowl. So I guess next is the Sixers for the NBA championship. So we'll see what happens. Guys, y'all take care. We'll talk to you soon.
And not only that,
Put that evil on him.
The Philadelphia Union lost the MLS Cup.
Yes, we know, Lucas. Soccer.
So Philly is. We know. I'm doing a thing here. Philly is 0 for 3 in finals this year. So the Sixers are the last piece of the puzzle.
It's not the trifecta. What would be quad something? The quad of doom or something like that.
We were talking all year about how great of a sports year it is for Philly, right? During football season, like, man,
until you lose everyone.
Right. Like the Phillies are in the World Series, the Union are going to the MLS Cup, the Eagles are one of the best teams in the league right now, and then you fast forward a few months. Like, no, they went over.
So I didn't see what he's talking about specifically to not being able to get the game to Philadelphia fans, and I don't know, I don't think they advertise around here Spectrum. Like it's a cable provider, like Xfinity is. Apparently, Spectrum went down before the Super Bowl, and I think they have a large market in Philadelphia. So maybe that's what he's referring to as far as the cable issues of the broadcast were concerned. Tough scene. Tyler does point out in the YouTube chat, though, where you can interact with the show: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Philly has lost 3 championships in 99 days.
Mm-hmm.
That's a gut punch. So yeah, Sixers on deck. Let's talk Mahomes, though, because I could have made the argument for Patrick Mahomes as a Pro Football Hall of Famer before yesterday's result. I think I could have done that with ease. I think if you start 3 Super Bowls and have the kind of statistical performances year in, year out, MVPs, you have 1 ring already, I think you can make the case for Pat as a Super Bowl, or rather as an NFL Hall of Famer. I think last night removes any doubt. Patrick Mahomes, here's the thing about him, okay? Because when you say the best quarterback you've ever seen, well, what does that mean? Tom Brady is the best winner I have ever seen in my lifetime. I think Tom Brady deserves at this point, and this is not, Lucas will accuse me of anti-Michael Jordan bias again, but I almost think Tom Brady deserves to replace Michael Jordan for the standard of modern-day athletic greatness. Just as a modern-day reference. I don't know that anything ever supersedes Jordan. I don't know if you separate it by sport. But I think that Tom Brady has surpassed Michael Jordan in terms of what it is to define winner of all times. Now, you can disagree with that. You could agree with that. Maybe it's a generational thing.
As far as being a winner, then you have an argument there.
The standard of winning. Yeah. I'm not saying I'm not doing Jordan and LeBron.
Right, but I'm saying if you use the word athlete, then people are going to put Jordan ahead of Tom Brady.
Well, you could put what's the racing horse that people put in that? Secretariat. People put Secretariat in that damn conversation. Drives me insane. No, I'm not doing best athlete. Best winner for all time, Tom Brady, in my personal context, replaces Michael Jordan at the end of his career. All right? If this is in fact it for Brady. So then I'm talking about the best quarterback I've ever seen. Well, Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback in the history of the sport. He's the greatest NFL player in the history of the sport. But Pat is so much more physically gifted and is so much greater than Tom was at this stage of his career. I think it kind of changes the context around that discussion. Patrick Mahomes has 2 Super Bowls. Tom Brady has bleeping 7. I'm not saying that Tom Brady is going to be knocked off a pedestal by Patrick Mahomes because he just won his 2nd Super Bowl. That's not what I'm saying at all. But he has done this as the primary driving force of his franchise so quickly than any other player that comes to mind. Maybe Brett Favre belongs in this discussion, but I think it even took Brett Favre until his 6th or 7th year to win a Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes is 27. He now has 2 rings. He is the thing. Would we not agree? He is the difference between them winning the Super Bowl and then making the playoffs with Alex Smith every year. Definitively, Patrick Mahomes is the difference maker.
Oh, yeah, of course.
He is the driving force behind that team. He's not Tom Brady. He's not early Tom Brady, right? Tom was a cog in the larger machine at the time. We didn't even really start talking about Tom Brady as the greatest quarterback of his generation until he just started outlasting people. Like the longevity and the sustained ability to win vaulted Tom Brady ahead of a lot of his peers at the time, as opposed to in real time him competing against Rivers or Manning or Breeze, where you would look at physical gifts, arm talent, all the different things that separate a lot of those dudes from Tom and say, okay, well, Tom is not even the best quarterback in his generation. He's just lasted longer. He's won more games. He's won at a greater rate. So when I look at Pat, the thing that solidifies that for me is he is the thing pushing them forward. He is the one making the longest rush of his season to help them win the Super Bowl. He is the one going superstar mode and willing them to win in ways that you do not have. You don't have NFL players take over games like that. It doesn't happen. J.J. Watt can be the most overwhelming defensive player you've ever seen and be, playoff-wise futile because he's a defensive end. And there's only so much he can do when there's 10 other players on the field with him. That's the thing that sets Mahomes and then the quarterback position even further apart to me. That's why I think that it's a done discussion. Patrick Mahomes is going to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame on the first ballot after winning his second ring. He absolutely should be. Tony in Nashville is next. Hey, Tony.
Hey, man, you doing all right? Hope you had a good holiday, man. Haven't spoke to you since then.
Yes, sir.
As far as winning is concerned, the true GOAT in my mind now, not Jordan, not Brady, not none of them. There's no way that you can put any of them over Bill Russell with 11 championships. And I forget how many he got in a row. That was just unconscionable.
No, Tony, you're spot on. And that's why I said it's a generational thing for me. Like there will be people who have their sports, GOAT. I'm not interested in terribly doing a GOAT discussion today. What?
Please no.
It's day one without football. You've already gotten me relitigating the AJ Brown trade, a GOAT sports talk radio caller discussion, and potentially draft talk.
Yeah, LeBron versus Jordan is tired. Jordan versus Brady. That's wired. That's the direction we need to go.
But that's why I said generational, because people, you Bill Russell, 11 championships.
He won 8 in a row.
But like, all right, so when was Bill Russell's last championship? Let me just
69.
Okay. Like we're doing this thing by generation. And yes, 11 is greater than 7. This is absolutely accurate. 8 in a row is better than Tom Brady's 7. This is so. Tom in Nashville is next. Hey, Tom.
Hey, it's a little bit early to anoint Mahomes to be Brady's heir. They tried to do that with Tiger and Jack Nicklaus, and Tiger's never going to reach Jack Nicklaus.
No, Tom. Who is making him Brady's heir? I'm not doing that today.
Well, a little bit. You're just saying he's a better quarterback.
Well, he is a more gifted quarterback at the position. Yes.
Well, I would put gifted quarterback in the number of wins, number of yards, number of Super Bowls. So,
But you've never seen Tom Brady do on a field of play the things that Patrick Mahomes has done. This is indisputable.
Well, it's indisputable, but I mean, those things that Tom Brady has done has gotten him 6 Super Bowls.
Yes, but Tom, you're having a different discussion. I'm saying that Patrick Mahomes is going to the Hall of Fame. I don't care whether he replaces Tom Brady or not.
All right. Well, there you go.
But Mahomes and Brady were on the cover of Madden together, like GOAT and Baby GOAT.
They did do a GOAT and Baby GOAT cover, but I'm not doing that. Tom's projecting.
Yeah,
I'm not doing that. I don't want to do that today, Lucas. They keep tempting me. They keep trying to take me down this road. I am full. We were so close to having the lines lit up for a full-on sports GOAT debate.
We were teetering there.
We have to bring things back to center.
Yeah, let's talk about Isaiah Pacheco.
Let's do that, shall we?
By the way, what a pick by the Kansas City Chiefs. I would. Do you know what round?
6th.
Wrong.
7th?
7th. And you know what college Isaiah Pacheco came out of?
No, that I don't know.
Rutgers. A 7th round rookie out of Rutgers.
Football powerhouse.
Guy played for Greg Schiano last year, and he was instrumental in the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl last night.
You are so what are you doing to Schiano there? Why you do to Schiano what our chat does to Dennis Daly. You take these shots at him for no other reason than you're still pissed at him.
Stay focused here. Stay focused.
I'm the one who's focused. Unsung heroes in yesterday's game. Andy Reid had that clip in Super Bowl Media Week leading up to the discussion about there's going to be one player who you haven't talked about, you haven't asked a question about, you haven't even factored into your analysis at this point, who's going to make a difference in this Super Bowl. Now, Isaiah Pacheco, the ground game that Kansas City was actually able to have for the first time, it felt like this postseason, and it's been very inconsistent throughout the course of the year, even as they've leaned more into heavy personnel groupings and tried to kind of distinguish and try and make it a more balanced approach. To see the way that the Chiefs were able to rush the ball last night, Pacheco had 15 attempts for 76 yards. He had a touchdown. Pat Mahomes obviously making a difference with his legs, 6 for 44. Jerick McKinnon, 4 for 34. They were able to find ways, 26 total attempts for 158 yards and a rushing score. So that does make a difference when you're trying to balance things out. And Mahomes, do you know what Mahomes' line was? Without looking, do you know this?
On his rushing line?
No, I'm saying Patrick Mahomes as a passer en route to his second Super Bowl MVP. Do you know what his passing statistics were? Let me just ask you.
No, I did him. I read him off the top on my update. Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Did that surprise you?
So what? That the yardage number wasn't terribly high?
21 of 27, 182 yards, 3 touchdowns.
No, because he wasn't. What was the ultimately? How did time of possession shake out?
It was in massive favor of the Eagles. They had the ball for basically the entire third quarter.
Okay, 35-47 in favor of the Eagles, 24-13 in favor of the Chiefs, and that number there was a massive difference in the first half, especially with the Bolton scoop and score, and the Chiefs got the ball right back. It felt like an entire quarter before Mahomes saw the field. So when he was on the field, he was efficient. They were moving the ball. So it's not terribly shocking that, he didn't throw for his 300 yards.
No, but here's the stat that stands out to me about the job that the Chiefs did on defense. You see how many third downs the Eagles played? Third down specifically. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs were 4 of 8 on third downs, meaning they played 8 total third downs. The Eagles had 18 third downs that they played. That means they were not you hardly saw any 2nd and 1s for Philadelphia. The Kansas City defense was making them play all 3 downs. Now, here's the thing. They converted at a higher rate with 18 third downs than did the Chiefs.
Yeah, 11.
11 of 18 is insane. Insanity. And they were still able to do that anyway. It's such a shame. They out time of possession the Chiefs. They outgained the Chiefs. Obviously, they did not outscore the Chiefs. They got more first downs than the Chiefs did. It was really a well done, as good a performance offensively as you could ask, and they just had a couple of miscues that led to some really, really bad plays. Here's the unsung hero, though. And if I go all in with a hand of Nick Bolton, number 32, the linebacker for the Chiefs, maybe you beat me with Kadarius Toney, but Nick Bolton being on the field more as an inside linebacker and making several plays to just stop Eagles offensive players in their tracks to make them have to play so many third downs, I thought Nick Bolton was as good a candidate for player of the game as anybody else had on that field.
I completely agree. He led them in tackles, obviously had the scoop and score, had another scoop and score that got called back because they said it was an incomplete pass.
Almost didn't.
The way that they handled Jalen Hurts, they just stopped blitzing. They stopped blitzing Jalen Hurts and allowed Nick Bolton and the Chiefs linebackers to just clean up. And Bolton was on point the entire night. So, no, I'm with you on that. I think it would be fine to assign Nick Bolton to that guy that Andy Reid was talking about that was going to step up. Kadarius Toney should also get a nod, though. It's crazy that there's never been a game-swinging punt return in Super Bowl history. That was the first one. It's the longest punt return in Super Bowl history. There's never been a punt return for a touchdown in Super Bowl history.
Okay, but you think about it this way. When you think about the Super Bowl as a sample size of now only 57 games, 57 games is a tiny sample size.
I guess so.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm just surprised it hasn't happened yet with some of the all-time returners that have played in Super Bowls. But Kadarius Toney also with a touchdown catch has got to be up there. And we put it to a poll, and people are saying the offensive line
For Kansas City?
Yeah, they perform far better than anybody could have possibly anticipated.
I really think that field did both of those pass rushes a significant disservice.
Yeah, that was a problem.
Guys were not able to get any. I mean, they were getting close, really. And you had Mahomes ducking and weaving a couple of times. He made moves to get out of some pressure. So there was pressure there, but still, it was surprising to see the top 2 sack defenses in football come up with only 1 sack between them. Last call for phone calls. We'll update the polls. We'll wrap up this Super Bowl Monday coming up next. I was so Last call for phone calls, 615-737-1045. We'll wrap through some and then got to pay some tribute to a Tennessee legend that passed away reportedly earlier today. Do that in just a second. First, Tommy in Nashville up next. Hey, Tommy.
Hello, Buck. I was very surprised that there's one team that has shown that they can have the formula to kind of contain Mahomes, and that's the Bengals. And I thought the Eagles would maybe use some of those concepts last night that have been successful for the Bengals, but I didn't see that happen. I wanted to get your comment on that. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate the call, Tommy. I can't speak specifically to defensive concepts that Philadelphia was using that Cincinnati has used that Philadelphia did not. Those are two different defenses. Here's the thing about Cincinnati, though. They're not very heavily schemed. That's something that Greg Cosell and I have talked about a lot. Lou Anarumo is the defensive coordinator there. They execute at such a level where it doesn't require, and to say that they're not schemed doesn't imply that they don't have scheme. It's just they're not doing a lot of crazy stuff. They're not heating you up with a lot of blitzes on second and first down. They're saving they're winning on early downs and then kind of throwing their best stuff at you on third. Now, the Eagles will come out in a couple of different looks, particularly. It seemed like there was just a lot of missed assignments. They had some coverage busts in there, more specifically, that I thought Patrick Mahomes was able to take advantage of. The turnover by Jalen Hurts was a tough spot. It led to points in that moment. So I think that you have to take each of those possessions and kind of look at them that way, as opposed to things that the Bengals defense did against the Chiefs that Philadelphia maybe necessarily didn't incorporate. Bill in Lebanon next. Hey, Bill.
Hey, Buck. Congratulations on the weight loss, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Eric Bieniemy was, I think in the past he's tried to be a little too cute. Thought last night he was phenomenal. He ran really simple plays, but he would run them repeatedly, and he would run them from different sides of the field.
Yeah.
And the Eagles would bite on them every time, like both touchdowns on the goal line. They ran the same play, but they ran it on the other side. One time on the right side, one time on the left side to Sky Moore and to I think Tony maybe, and they were wide open because the Eagles were extremely undisciplined and they knew they would bite on that fake. So and then I just thought he called a really good play. He didn't try to do any Kellen Moore double reverse, triple Lundies or anything like that. I thought he called an excellent game.
Thank you for the call, Bill. Yeah, I'm glad you pointed out them running a lot of the same plays out of the same formations and getting the Eagles a couple different times with that. That was something that,
like that fake motion.
Yeah,
just wide open both times.
And he said, by the way, that they didn't get too cute. They tried the ring around the Rosie play.
Yeah,
they tried that bleep in the Super Bowl.
Didn't work.
Everybody. They'd be talking about, what a great play call in a big spot, even though that's literally the definition of getting cute. They're doing a duck, duck, goose formation coming out of the huddle. Anyway, before we get to polls, wanted to mention the passing of Gus Manning at 99 years old today. It was announced by somebody in his family on social media. And, of course, for those of you who have been associated with Tennessee football, you know that name. He's not the most necessarily famous Manning associated with the University of Tennessee nationally, but if you are somebody who knows this program well, has grown up with this program in your lives, then you know who Gus Manning is and his impact. He attended more than 450 consecutive home games throughout the course of his career. He started as an assistant under Robert Nealon back in the 40s. In 1946 specifically. He then went on to be their director of sports information at UT. He was Tennessee's business manager and then ultimately was serving in a role as a senior associate athletic director in the 90s. 99 years old, this man. So, Lucas, I don't know if you wanted to say anything about it, given that you're more closely tied to that than I am.
It was always cool when I worked at VFL Films in college and being in the arena in Thompson Bowling before a Vols game or a Lady Vols game, and Gus Manning was just always there. He did not miss a game until he physically wasn't able to go. That guy basically encapsulated Tennessee athletics for almost his entire life, from the 1930s until now. So, yeah, rest in peace to a great one.
Well, for people who may not necessarily be familiar, would you call him a Sister Jean-like figure?
Well, sure, yeah, just for how long he's been around, and he did everything. I mean, he sold tickets, he handled, travel for multiple teams. He was Robert Neyland's right-hand man at Tennessee. I mean, there are so many classic pictures of Gus and his cigar and his briefcase behind the end zone at Neyland Stadium. Yeah, anybody that went to Tennessee, played at Tennessee, covered Tennessee knows Gus Manning means a lot to that program.
Polls.
Stop the count! Stop the count! The polls have closed and the votes have been tallied. It's the segment where bias takes over and nuance goes to die. Now, here's your favorite Buck Rising Show daily correspondent, Lucas Polzica.
Presented by Two Rivers Ford. You can custom order any new Ford from Two Rivers. They sell below MSRP on any non-specialty new Ford. Who ended up being the unsung hero for the Chiefs? 39% say it's Isaiah Pacheco. 39% say it's Kadarius Toney. 22% say Nick Bolton. Goody says the whole offensive line.
I can't believe only 22% voted for Nick Bolton. That's wild to me.
Shout out to Trey Smith, though, for being a Super Bowl champ, along with that Chiefs O-line.
Taking like 4 spots after Brady Breeze, people don't forget.
Did the officials get the holding call on James Bradbury right? 56% say yes, they did.
James Bradbury said they did, so who am I to say no?
Which team's future looks better long term? 66% are going with the Chiefs versus 34% who say Eagles.
As long as you've got Mahomes, you've got a chance.
How was Rihanna's halftime show? 56% say meh. 34% say it was amazing. 10% say terrible.
I'm in the amazing category. Bleep you if you voted for the 10%. I cannot stand that.
Do you have a number one? A number one that if you had your choice to do the halftime show? Because I think I've settled on John Mayer. Or John Mayer with Dead & Co. John Mayer and Grateful Dead. Because
they've done that, haven't they? Didn't they do
I
that?
don't think they've done the Super Bowl.
I want to say that John Mayer has been some part of a Super Bowl.
I feel like I would remember maybe, but I feel like he would satisfy the pop element of it, but he's also just unbelievable with the guitar. He's an amazing performer, and then Dead & Co. would be amazing. Or John by himself.
Kendrick Lamar, I think, has done 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah, Kendrick's been to a couple.
Okay, so I can't say Kendrick.
No.
But I've enjoyed those every time.
Shout out to Chris Stapleton, too. He crushed
Big winner.
The national anthem.
Big winner of yesterday's festivities. You know what? You're a winner because you got Blaine and Mickey coming up next.